Chapter 8. I followed Libby closely all the rest of Saturday. Other than the 8 hours I spent napping, Libby was never out of my sight. Every once in a while, Libby would talk to the mini glow box, but to my relief, she never mentioned Lub. It was just like old times, and I was beginning to relax. Then, just about the time the burn flower in the sky was about to disappear and turn day into night, I heard the bing bong. For those who don't know, the bing bong is the alarm that sounds whenever there is a human at the front door of the den. As a dog, it's my job to bork and run to the door to scare away the human if they are dangerous, or to greet them if they are not. As I leaped from the couch to do my duty, a smell crossed my nose. It was a male human. The fur on my back stood on end. If this male human was going to try and make Libby be in love, he had another thing coming. I raised my bork from threat level 1 to threat level 3, just so the male human knew I meant business. "Shush, Henry," Libby used her angry voice as she walked to the door. I shushed like a good dog, but I wasn't happy about it. When Libby opened the door, my body was tense and my fangs were ready to show. But as soon as I saw who was outside, my anger melted away into joy. The male human outside the door had pizza. I immediately changed my bork to happy level 7. "Henry, be quiet." Libby shut the door and set the pizza on the table. I could hear the male human walk away, and there had been no hugs and no hand-paw holding. Maybe things were going to work out after all. I stopped my borking like a good boy, but couldn't help it that my happy whine continued involuntarily. That night we ate pizza and snuggled in front of the big glow box. It was just like old times. In fact, the next several weeks were just like old times. The only difference was that pizza night had changed from Friday night to Saturday night. Libby still made herself smell like flowers and went to the outside without me on Fridays, and she still came back smelling like the phantom stench, but she didn't seem to display any of the classic signs of love, so eventually I stopped worrying about it. For all I knew, the phantom stench was a special kind of nom, because after a while I started to smell it on Libby's mouth as well. I lived in blissful ignorance until that one fateful Friday night. On the Friday night in question, Libby made herself smell like flowers, but this time she didn't go to the outside. I thought it was strange, but was happy to have her around the den. At about 7, I heard the bing bong. As I ran to the door to perform my duty, I could already smell the pizza. Friday night was pizza night again! When Libby answered the door, I greeted the pizza bringer with my happy level 7 borks, but then something strange happened. Instead of giving Libby the pizza and going away, the pizza bringer came into the den, put the pizza on the table, and gave Libby a hug. Springing into action, I immediately jumped up on him and tried to push him away. "Henry, that's rude." I didn't know what that meant, but Libby was using her angry voice, so I stopped. "Bobby, this is my dog Henry. I'm sorry, he's usually better behaved." "It's no big deal." Bobby smiled at Libby before turning his attention to me. "Hey, buddy." Bobby knelt down and customarily stuck out his hand for me to smell. I gave it a sniff out of courtesy, but I didn't need to. It was the phantom stench. Clear as day. I would have smelled it from a mile away if I hadn't been distracted by the pizza. Now that it was right in front of me, I was reminded of the reason it had bothered me so much in the first place. Sure, Bobby was a male human, and if Trixie was right, it meant that Libby was in love and that she was going to start spending more time with him and less time with me, but male human was only part of the phantom stench. The other part bothered me long before Trixie had told me anything about love. There was something about it that made my instincts remember the dangers of the forest. "I think he likes me." Bobby patted my head and stood back up. Obviously, Bobby was dumber than a squirrel. I groaned and walked away. I was going to go lay down and try to figure out where the smell was coming from, and while I was at it, I was going to whine with my back turned to both of them. It's about the biggest insult a dog can give. That night, they ate pizza together and stared at the big glow box together. Everything Trixie had said they would do. I laid on the floor with my back towards them, whining all night, but it did no good. I was too late. Libby was in love, and there was nothing I could do about it. "I think he thinks I'm stealing you," I heard dumb Bobby say. Chalk one up for Mr. Obvious. Bobby really was dumber than a squirrel. "Henry, come snuggle with us." Libby patted the couch, but I just groaned without getting up from my spot. I think I know what will do the trick. I heard Libby stand up and walk to the nom's room. "Here, try this." Libby walked back in and handed dumb Bobby something. "Hey, buddy, I've got a treat for you." Unfortunately, as a dog, I can't ignore when somebody says treat, even if they're as terrible as dumb Bobby. I begrudgingly turned to look and saw dumb Bobby holding an entire piece of pizza. In my whole life, I'd never had more than a couple bites of pizza. As much as I hated to do it, I knew I couldn't pass up the opportunity to eat an entire piece by myself. Standing from my spot, I slowly walked over to dumb Bobby and ate the pizza, then licked the rest of the pizza off his hand paws. It would have been delicious if not for the phantom stench invading my nostrils. It was just like dumb Bobby to ruin what could have been a wonderful experience. Nice try, dumb Bobby, but not today.